a lot in terms of just volume. This is only the stuff he published in his life. There's also 3 unfinished novels. The trial is technically unfinished. He never got a version that he liked. The plot has an ending, but he never actually said that this is the version of the trial that we should read. And America and the Castle, equally unfinished. And I've sort of described one way of reading all of his work. That's so megalomaniacal it can't possibly be true. I've described that one more as something to stand against the way Kafka reads it. So it's not strictly accurate. There's a lot of stories where it just doesn't hold, where it breaks down. And so those provide fodder for literary theorists. Also, a lot of literary theorists are really stupid. And a lot of them simply want to write really big papers with very large words. This they share in common with mathematicians. But at least mathematicians have the honesty to create their own words. And to completely dismiss any claim that we're talking about reality. If we want to study a pineapple-y juicy set, and yes, that's an actual term, then we invent a pineapple-y juicy set. We don't muck around with any of this literary theory. But literary theorists want to use the word problematize a lot. So you get sort of the trend in general literary theory is towards interpretations of Kafka that allow them to plug their favorite theory. And Kafka is universal, in the sense that great authors tend to be. Everyone can read them. That also means that there are many possible interpretations. If you want to do an interpretation of Kafka as a neo-capitalist author, you can. There's actually a fairly smart one with a few stories. If you want to interpret Kafka's writings as sort of an indictment of the modern intellectual era, you can do that too. Professor Book, who teaches the Nietzsche and Literary Modernism class, actually voiced that reading, and it's a very common one, it's actually a very good one. If you want to interpret Kafka as being about Eastern European political policy and international relations, you can do that too, although at that point you're kind of...
It's about the war.
Well, probably on drugs. I've seen Kafka interpreted as the war in Iraq. AC, you laugh.
It has been
done.
I know
Yeah.
it's been...
But and you can ask a similar thing about Shakespeare, right? Let's say you have a pet reading of a given Shakespeare story that you are convinced, in Shakespeare play or sonnet, that you are convinced is accurate. And you ask, why doesn't everyone agree with it? Well, at some level it's because A, you're wrong. And let's make this clear, I am wrong. I'm just hoping to be less wrong than certain people. And B, Shakespeare is big. There's a lot to read into Shakespeare. That's a trait that great authors have. Now, actually, in this particular case, I've been sort of modest. The real reason nobody reads Kafka's tragedy is because my views have been suppressed by an evil, world-dominating, literary theoretical bureaucracy that ruthlessly singles out random people, hunts them down, and makes their lives miserable until they conform to its readings of Kafka.
Would this be by sending them to Chicago?
Yeah, maybe a little. No, honest reason, look, I'm wrong. I'm arguing that Kafka should be read as Greek tragedy. That's false. Kafka should not be read as Greek tragedy. But there are certainly similarities. There is certainly an extent to which what is tragic in a tragedy and what makes us read a tragedy is also what is beautiful about Kafka. Nietzsche wrote a book, The Birth of Tragedy, where he goes on about why we find tragedy useful. I disagree with every single thing Nietzsche says. But every single thing Nietzsche says can equally well be applied to Kafka's writings. They share something in common with tragedy. If I knew precisely what, I'd probably be double majoring. I'm unaware exactly how to phrase this accurately. They're not tragedies per se, but there is an element of tragedy. Any other questions? Okay. There is one story in here that I'm not going to read aloud because I've already gone over time, but it is called a fratricide. It's freely available online. I'll be posting where to find it on my Facebook page. You should all read it. It's the closest Kafka comes to a straight tragedy. It's very lyrical. It actually has a lot that reminds me of actual specific Greek tragedies. So, that one will be posted on Facebook soon. Anyways, I'm done.
I got it. It's
Okay,
cool.
cool.
Wouldn't make you defend against the
And
technology
before it goes
yourself.
off, I do a little dance.
Having had that on camera for all of time.